All right. Now, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be bringing up a topic that is a bit controversial in many aspects. It is called Existentialism and Determinism. Now, before I begin this speech, I want to just send a small trigger warning. I am not targeting anyone's personal beliefs in this theory or this specific symbolist speech. So, with that being said, let me begin. So, we're going to start with the definitions of what existentialism and determinism mean. Now, specifically, existentialism means that you personally believe that what you think of is what you're going to do. So that means anything that comes to your mind is your own conceivable thought. While determinism has more of a linear approach, where you believe that an entity is what controls what you think. It is kind of a more depressing thought, but at the same time, they both have credence and they are really good ideologies that are complex in their own way and that are usable in many other ways. Now, personally, I believe that both of them have their main uses, but one of them is more dead than the other, but they still are at contrast. That's why I put them together. Now, there's a good thing about these. They start up conversations, really deep ones at that. People really love when something goes in deep, because now they start to think, they start to fathomize and realize many other ideologies, and this is basically the pinnacle of philosophy. But now I'm going to veer off into a bit of a more different subject about how some philosophers like to discriminate against the ideologies that others might give credence to. This is an example of people always thinking they own the idea of human thought. And I'm not going to mention any names, but specifically non-believers and believers always fought over these ideas. And in the end, they never come to a solution. That's a main problem in humanity. You'll realize this pattern a lot. You'll see it in other places, like countries fighting over dominance of a specific land, or money, which is basically an insatiable human need that is not really needed, more of wanted, if excessive. So, when I'm bringing up this fight, this struggle, it is always against people's pride, not against people's personal wants or needs. Because in the end, always, extremists from both sides will keep making the conversation more toxic, more vile. People don't like to get into these conversations because, come on, let's face it, there is not a lot of leeway for middle ground in these talks. And when people fight over it, they sometimes become violent. It's just very similar to how countries always fight over land. It makes a lot of sense now, because in the end, when you think you have credence to a specific idea, you'll always want to own it. And that's what brings me to the main point of the speech, the main message that I want to bring out. Now, mainly, it's because humanity has this intangible thought that you always have to have pride to become the best. You always have to protect your ideals, and you always have to fight over it to win. But in the end, respecting each other's ideas is also a really good way to boost people's morals, make people more, let's say, likable, more valuable to your own ideologies. And in the end, this is how you bring people in, not by fighting them, not by forcing them into an ideology. Because in the end, if you tell someone not to do something, it is more salacious to go for that person's opposite thought. Really, how many times have your parents told you not to do something, but you had the desire to do something much better? Like, for example, eating more sweets. It is always this thought that is contradictory to what you want and to what you don't want. It is really interesting, isn't it? And now you have this thing that you don't want to do, which is reason. But it is truly the best for you. That's why your parents told you not to do that thing you were not supposed to do, whether it is not get that sweet for you, or try not to get that car for you when you become older. Because in the end, they either want to protect you from being spoiled, or they want to protect you from being really, really greedy, or at the same time want to protect your health. It all goes both ways. So really, it is not what you want here. It's for the greater good of humanity. People always are drawn to the easy side of things, and it's not a good thing at all. Really. Now, you go around, you see people that don't want to even go to college anymore because they're scared of hard things. They're scared to try new things because they're more used to their lives. They want to try something easy, like, for example, a career in business, where they will just keep buying out estate and always gambling on what they will get. Really, it is complicated how human nature works, because now what you want is something that is not for the greater good, but what you need is something for the greater good. So I'm going to give you this question. If you've ever gotten into an argument, were you the one to start to find the leeway in this argument? Like really, about anything, whether it be, for example, over a piece of fortune that you wanted to have, anything that seemed luscious to your eyes. Have you had the desire to get that, but not through reason, through basic anger and argumentative things that will just hurt the other side? In the end, my point being that what you want isn't always what you need. All the time, you'll want to find leeway and get the best route possible so you can be able to become the best or the greater good for all of humanity. And that was the point of my speech. Even though existentialism and determinism aren't fathomable in reality, they're not really that useful because in the end you believe what you want to believe. But they are unfathomable enough for you to get a specific sense of what I'm talking about. Because really, it's not something you wanted to listen to. It is something that you needed to listen to so you can be able to fathomize the symbolism in this speech. Thank you very much.